Nothing says an Idaho winter quite like the cold, snow-capped peaks of the Sawtooth Mountains. And yet there are those who would take one look at those peaks and they'd head right back indoors. Hi, I'm Bruce Reichert and welcome to Outdoor Idaho. And then there's the type that tackles this season with a grit and a determination that simply defies common sense and that leaves us all in awe at their nerve and their fortitude. In the isolated elevations of Idaho's Stanley Basin, a resilient population weathers the harsh, frigid winters. The snow and cold is welcomed by locals whose livelihood relies heavily on recreation.
All of our reports, including what you guys have observed, are indicating that I'm anticipating we've got pretty good stability out there, but I think we have to think about the next storm coming in on Wednesday, and it sounds like we're going to get quite a bit of precip out of this one, and it's also coincidentally when the next guests are arriving.
Kirk Bachman and his Sawtooth Mountain guides make their living taking guests into the backcountry year-round. Yep. Winter trips, though, take extra planning because of unpredictable weather.
It's 8 below, Kelly said.
Little cold, little bit.
All-terrain skis with climbing skins are the mode of transportation for most of this group. The skins attach to the bottom of the skis, providing traction when climbing. They can come off or stay on when you ski down, depending on how fast you want to go. Snowboarders can either snowshoe in with their board on their back, or they can invest in a board that splits into skis. Today, the guides will ski into the Cape Horn area, near the headwaters of the Middle Fork of the Salmon. They'll do avalanche assessment and test conditions before the next group of guests arrive. Winter trips into the backcountry require survival gear. Avalanche beacons, shovels, and probes are crucial.
Okay, loud and clear.
Excellent.
The group stops to test the frequencies on their beacons before starting the climb.
As you can see, we all ski with these packs on our back, and we were carrying the basics for if something happened, we'd be able to deal with it. I mean, we definitely take the approach that we're self-reliant, make sure we've got first aid, we've got repair, ways to bivouac, we've got bivouac shelters. We can certainly use our snow shovels to dig in if we need to spend the night, and ways to build a fire, that sort of thing.
Alpine touring bindings on the skis free the heels to climb, and the heel lifter helps support the legs for steep slopes.
The equipment's great. I mean, it does an awesome job of supporting being out here, so it's secure skiing down. You can lock everything in, but you can still have the freedom of going uphill and throw some skins on your skis, and it's real easy to get around.
There we go.
This is avalanche country, and triggering one isn't hard to do if conditions are right.
That's a slow one.
The main highway even has a section called Avalanche Alley, and is often closed several times during the winter. Kirk believes education and preparation are key to survival in the backcountry. When he isn't guiding, he teaches an avalanche education course. The class trains students how to recognize and evaluate the terrain. The first step is to dig a snow pit, which reveals the snow layers and the probability of an avalanche.
So we should have gotten some kind of crack across the front of this if there was any tendency for it to want to shear and pull out a layer. And because there was no crack or failure across the face of this thing, that we didn't get any results in this. Basically showing that in this location, the snowpack doesn't have a propensity to want to propagate and fracture. And so the pit information is just kind of lining up with some of the other observations that we're seeing in the field today.
Since the hazard of triggering an avalanche today is relatively low,
What do you guys think
It's time to test the slopes.
I got a line picked out off the top.
Dropping.
Joe, drop! Usually the days in the Sawtooths are fairly long, big days, and it's well worth it once you get back here and get some of this steep skiing done.
There's trees and obstacles on the slope, and so you have to think about the snowpack stability, but also rocks and trees and just not hurting yourself out there. So skiing real heads up, and that's what a day in the backcountry is like, is just being super proactive about being safe and smart about how you do it.
If you want to get into the backcountry but don't think you have the skill level that these guys do, don't despair.
We've been able to work with all abilities. I mean, that's one of the things we do as guides, is get people started if they want to get into it and have no experience, and we have probably a pretty good way to introduce them to that. A good attitude and a passion for being out in the winter, and just like in the natural world, that goes a long ways in terms of feeling like, yeah, I'm comfortable out here, and then the skills will come with time.
Pretty fun one.
After a long, cold day on the mountain,
Oh, that beats working.
the guides gather back in Stanley to review the trip and plan for the incoming guests.
Well, here's to cheers. Here's to a good day on the slopes, guys.
The clients will never know how hard these guys work to make sure their adventure vacation is fun and safe. A stone's throw from world-famous Sun Valley, Idaho, this rural community in the Wood River Valley is an interesting mix of ranchers, farmers, and outdoor enthusiasts, attracted to the landscape and the lifestyle. The ski hill isn't far away, but for locals, skiing is old hat. They found an even better way to chase away the winter doldrums.
Here they go!
It's called extreme equestrian skijoring, and it's catching on throughout snow country. The only requirements are a fast horse with a good rider, a daring skier, and a challenging course.
You know, it's something to do in the wintertime for horses. Just something to get rid of that, lull this time of year where you're kind of, that cabin fever sets in, gives you a reason to get out, and it's a good time.
Will all the riders please come?
Groups like this one in the Wood River Valley are organized under a national association and compete against each other for a championship title. Anyone with skill and nerve is invited to give it a try.
I'm the only guy in the United States that races mules against horses. And they make them fast enough to beat these horses. And I'll beat half of them.
I just read about it in the paper about a week ago, and I've been skiing all my life, so I decided to be fun. And I grew up on a ranch, so it kind of fits.
You know, here's the third heartbeat in the group, and this is Kona Coffee. I bought him about 2 years ago. Fastest horse I ever been on. Thought about kicking him once.
He's afraid to kick him.
I thought about kicking him once, but I was going too fast as it was, so I decided not to. But it's just one ya, and he goes.
As spectators start arriving on the first day of this weekend event, race organizer Tyler Peterson scrambles to pull all the details together.
Competitors, we're going to go over here, and judges, race officials, I need everyone over there.
Tyler designed the course to be challenging but negotiable. The rules are pretty basic. Gallop and ski as fast as you can without missing a gate, jump, or ring. Anything missed gets a time penalty.
Your boots, your tips, your skis have to make it around the gate. You cannot cheat that gate. If they do not make it across, you'll get a penalty.
Oh, we got a little rodeo going down at the start gate.
You can feel the excitement mounting as riders, racers, and horses start to stage for the first day of racing.
We got a clear track whenever you guys are ready. Here they come, folks.
Teamwork is key to winning this event. The horse, the rider, the skier must all be in sync to cross the finish line with no penalties.
Nice recovery on that one. Here they go, mules roll.
For safety reasons, horses are only allowed to run 2 races per event. Amazingly, whether shoed or barefoot, these horses have powerful traction in the snow. They seem to enjoy the competition as much as the rider and the skier.
I can't say good enough things about my horse, you know. Geez, he's fast, he loves to do it, you know, and he just runs so true and just can't, he never does anything wrong, you know, so. It's just hard to keep up with Kona. You get in the back seat and, you know, you got gates and rings and all that stuff coming at you so fast that it's not easy. He did really good, you know. I'm really pleased with Kona Coffee, and he's just a hell of a horse. I just really like him a lot.
The overall winning team possessed the right combination of skill, speed, and nerve.
Let's give these local boys a big hand.
Taylor and Hunter went on to take 2nd overall at the National Championship in Red Lodge, Montana, a month later.
Well, we had Taylor's fast horse.
Yeah.
I mean,
Badger was pretty good.
Probably the fastest horse out here, so that really helped. And then, yeah, I don't think we were intimidated by the course. Never done it before, so we had nothing to be scared of.
For Tyler, the event was a huge success, and he looks forward to next year.
This event was fabulous. It was just everything I wanted it to be. You know, we always want better, don't we? But you know, all in all, this was more than we could hope for, and we'd love to see this grow more and more every year. We'd like to be up to 50, 60 teams. You know, and as we grow, the purse will grow, and those teams will come.
The hike to the basalt cliffs of the Snake River Canyon near Twin Falls begins early in the morning for Doug Colwell and his friends.
Here we go.
Carrying packs heavy with climbing gear, they work their way up the steep hillside to the 80-foot columns of ice above. This area of the canyon wall is called the Mother Lode because of the variety of climbs available. But because of unusually high temperatures, the ice formations along the cliff are sparse compared to other years. But if you want to climb ice in southern Idaho, this is the best place to do it. Most ice climbers begin as rock climbers and then continue to do both through the seasons. Their passion for ice, however, takes a little more commitment when it comes to investing in the special gear and equipment. Ice axes, ice screws, a helmet, and crampons are essential.
So the bottom of this thing has a little bot on it like that. And right here is all plastic, rubber. And the idea is that if snow collects on there, it pops off so the snow can't ball up. And so this is specific to ice climbing, is having this little piece here. You can just take your screw off that quickly. You get it in. Once it's in, it starts. The lever comes up and you just spin it in using the lever very quickly.
Like rock climbers, ice climbers name the routes they climb. As the ice melts and reforms every year, the routes somehow seem to keep the features they're named for.
The farthest one over here is called the Gully. The route over here, Dave Weber's on, it's called the Weed Route, because there's always these weeds that are, you can see the weeds growing right over there, you know, and we've spent some time already gardening here for the year. We don't bring our weed whacker, but the ice axe works pretty good on the first couple times up.
This is just awesome.
The ice is bonded pretty good in here, and you kind of have a feel as an ice climber as to what's solid and what's not solid. You know, you take a few swings, you start up. If it doesn't feel good, it's time to go.
Gotta like that.
Okay, you're on.
I've done these many times, and I look at climbing right here kind of like climbing in a gym, a training ground. You get a workout more than anything. Typically, when I climbed a lot more, we would come down here and get in shape to go do bigger climbs, usually up in Canada.
It's not something that you go out and buy yourself a pair of boots and ice axe and say, come on, let's go. You kind of need a really good solid foundation, and the foundation is the judgment of how good the ice is to climb, because you're making that decision. Anybody that wants to learn how to ice climb, you need to have a guide that teaches you how, or some person that's willing to take you specifically out and has the skills and the capabilities to teach that.
As Doug picks his way up the frozen route named Bonita, pieces of ice fall off, sometimes into his face. It's one of the dangers he just laughs off.
You can climb up and down this stuff pretty easily once you have the mental composure to know what you're doing and to feel comfortable with the placements. And that's what 90% of this ice climbing is about, is the composure.
It's really nice.
I do it because it's really fun. It gives me times in my otherwise really hectic life when I'm just focused on one thing for one little moment in time, and kind of nothing else matters at that point. And so it's kind of fun when you tie into the rope and you step off to just kind of go off into that little zone for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, and just really focus and compose yourself at what you're doing. I mean, I'm still climbing 20 years later, and I'm having a great time doing it. I mean, sometimes I think, why should I keep doing this? When's this gonna end? And I gotta mature and start playing golf and, you know, and then I think, why? I like this, it's fun, I enjoy it, I'm not hurting anybody, and I really get to do a lot of things that not a lot of people choose to do, but I get rewarded by doing it.
Very fun.
You guys are so lucky because we have absolutely fabulous conditions out there. Probably 14, 16 inches of new light fluff snow. The avalanche hazard is considerable at upper elevations, so it's very important you pay close attention to your guide. Please follow his instructions, ask questions if you're unsure.
Nervous, I got butterflies.
That knob right there. Oh yeah, there's the ridge.
Right now it doesn't look that good. There's a low layer of stratus that's stuck in the valleys with upper winds and a high pressure on top of it, and usually that suppresses the stratus and keeps it around for longer than we want.
We'll hang out and see if those stratus clouds break up with the sun. That's all we can do.
That was just a dry run to make sure you guys could get in and out of the
Sure
helicopter.
I didn't vomit, which I almost did.
Oh, you got this.
Yeah. There's a lot of things you can do in a helicopter, but if you can't see, you can't do any of it. So, especially landing in remote backcountry areas, you know, and when you get close to the ground, the snow comes up, also reducing visibility. So if I can't see the ground, it's a recipe for disaster.
We had a few summits in the open, but it was all more aggressive skiing. Like when we just had a big storm, we saw old avalanche activity. You just don't start out the day by skiing the biggest, most aggressive stuff there. You know, if you're going to ski that, you sort of nip into it a bit and get some more information. So the only things I saw that were open were all stuff that we didn't really want to start our day out on.
We'll probably give it 1 hour, then it'll be too late to go out and get all our runs in after that.
Okay, we're going to start flying, but we're going to reverse the order, and Dave's group will go in first. So if you're in Dave's group, pull up your drawers. Let's go.
What do you think, Dave? Does it look good?
It looks awesome.
Cool.
It's gonna be good. I'm getting in, I'm going skiing.
Good.
The only way we're going to know is by going in there. You know, it looks a little thinner from here, but, you know, we're deep in the mountains. So we'll give it one more try, and if they can't get out, then we'll abort the day.
Right on the edge, isn't it?
He's flying around the clouds is what he's doing right now. That's my best guess. Otherwise, he'd be landing on top. It probably looks similar to when we were out there.
It's weird clouds, you know, how it's in that ridge, right? Yeah.
He's sitting on top. He's at 9,083 feet, and he's in Cabin Creek, which is just on the Idaho side of the Wyoming border. So that means somebody's going skiing right now.
It's just beautiful. I can't believe we're up here. Holy cow.
You guys, so this next run, this group skied this line here. I'm gonna just shadow their tracks, and then you guys just stack them out to the skier's left. Sound good? And we're staying on this rib, so just don't fall off into the gully either side. Enjoy the run.
Yeah.
Funding for Outdoor Idaho is made possible by the Friends of Idaho Public Television, by the Laura Moore Cunningham Foundation, committed to fulfilling the Moores' legacy of helping to build the great state of Idaho, and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. All Outdoor Idaho programs are available for purchase, including hour-long specials. To find more information about these shows, visit us at idahoptv.org.